Hey, kids. It's time for another video in this terrible series. How much time is that bastard getting? Because I have to make at least 2 episodes before giving up on this awful idea. Now, I was thinking of a couple different movies I could look at, and I eventually settled on a movie I watched a few days ago called Baby Driver. And honestly, I thought this movie sucked ass. I would have rather watched Baby Geniuses. But hey, I set my fat ass the goal of making one video a week. And this movie is about bank robberies, so it makes a perfect fit for this series. So in this video, we will analyze the actions of the character Baby. And I know his real name is Miles Prower. I'll just call him Baby since that's his stupid code name. Basically, the premise of this movie is that Baby is good at driving because he's an autistic savant or something. His parents died in a car crash that gave him tinnitus, but he drowns out the tinnitus with music. Anyways, this kid got put in the foster care system. He got put in a bad home, bad situation, blah blah. And one day he stole Kevin Spacey's Lamborghini, and I guess he crashed it. And Kevin Spacey in this movie is some kind of mob boss, and he was really pissed off. But he's still Kevin Spacey, so he appreciated this kid's undescended testicles and the rest of his body too. So Kevin Spacey took Baby under his wing and into his bedroom to pay off the $1 million debt for crashing his Lambo. Unfortunately, Kevin Spacey only likes boys between the ages of 9 and 16, and Baby quickly aged out of being attractive to Mr. Spacey long before paying off his debt. So to pay back the rest of the money he owes, he had to become a getaway driver for various robberies. Long story short, at the end of this shitty movie, Baby is captured by the authorities and sentenced to 25 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 5 years. And of course, because this is a movie, he gets parole and goes on to live a happy life with his fuck interest. Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother talking about the romantic subplot. All I aim to do is answer this question. Is this ending realistic? Would a real life Baby have any chance of getting out of prison in just 5 years for doing all the shit he does in this movie? Or would he be rotting there for the rest of his life? Let's analyze the film and find out. First thing to note is that the entire film takes place in and around Atlanta, Georgia. I assume it takes place in the year 2017, the same year the movie came out, since we can see Baby getting an iPod as a birthday present as a kid. The iPod came out in 2001, so if Baby was born in the late 90s, he'd be in his early 20s in 2017, and the timeline matches up. So that's what I'm going with. The movie never explicitly states what year it takes place in, so 2017 is what I'm going with. Now for this film, I'm not going to have a list on the right side of the screen with all the illegal shit that Baby does, because it's just too much frickin' work, and Sony Vegas is giving me trouble, so I'm not going to do it. Honestly, let's just cut to the chase here. I'm going to give away the conclusion right at the beginning. In real life, this ugly fucker would be getting life with no possibility of parole, and honestly, he would be lucky to escape the lethal injection needle. But let's be as charitable as possible with our analysis. First of all, it's been implied that this guy has been doing jobs for Kevin Spacey for years, and I don't just mean hand jobs. He's been a getaway driver for many robberies in the past, but since they aren't shown on screen, and it's possible the police might not be able to link him to any prior crimes, we'll forget about all of that. We'll also forget about the armed robbery committed at the beginning of the film, since the crew gets away very cleanly and Baby never even shows his face. So we'll just assume that the investigative team is full of total morons and they never find out Baby's involvement. The second robbery Baby helps commit is of an armored truck parked in front of a bank. During this crime, a security guard gets hit in the back of the head, and it looks like he might have died, but let's just assume that he survived. It's just a little blood. You're gonna be okay, man. Anyways, there's no way Baby could get away with this crime since there's at least 2 surviving witnesses that saw his face up close. First, the soldier boy, a veteran that tried to stop the bank robbery and ended up being grievously wounded when his car was flipped over by Baby's driving skills. Casually watching the movie, you might question if Soldier Boy actually survived the crash or not, but there is a quick little blink and you'll miss it scene where you can see him on TV being interviewed, and it turns out that he's alive. Still, Baby could face between 1 and 10 years for wounding this guy. The second witness is the woman that the crew carjacks. She also saw Baby's face up close. Also, there's an infant in the car. They do take it out of the car and give it back to her, but that shit's not going to look good in court now, is it? For the armed robbery alone, Baby is facing a 10-year mandatory and automatic sentence, and another mandatory 10-year sentence for hijacking a vehicle. Yeah, Georgia has some of the harshest mandatory minimum sentences in the entire United States. And most of these new laws were enacted during the late 90s under the guidance of Slick Willie's federal government. The federal government actually gave Georgia $80 million to enact these truth in sentencing laws and build more prisons. Thanks, Bill. Anyways, after barely escaping with their skins intact, Kevin Spacey says that Baby's debt for crashing his Lambo has finally been completely paid off. He also gets Baby to crush a car with a crew member's corpse in it, but let's just assume that he gets away with it. Anyways, even after paying off the debt, Baby still isn't done because Kevin Spacey forces him to do another job and threatens to kill his love interest if he doesn't do it. But to do the robbery, for some reason the crew needs more guns, even though they already have plenty of guns. Everybody has at least one. This is just a contrivance to have another shootout in the movie as far as I'm concerned. You see, the weapons deal has been set up by a bunch of corrupt cops that stole the weapons from the police armory or something. I don't know how they got away with that or how they managed to set up this giant conspiracy with over a dozen people with nobody getting caught, nobody snitching. It doesn't make any sense at all. Why does one of these corrupt cops look like Colonel Sanders? I don't know. I don't understand. My brain hurts. Let's just assume that Baby gets away with this massacre. It's not like there's any survivors anyways. So after they get back to Kevin Spacey, Spacey's pissed because they killed his corrupt cop buddies and he says the robbery is off. At this point, Baby should be happy and he should have used this as an opportunity to get off of this sinking ship. But instead, he actually helps the rest of the crew convince Kevin Spacey to do the robbery anyways. That's real dumb, Baby. Real dumb. So the third and final robbery is of a post office. They're stealing mail orders. And this is where shit gets real. A security guard gets killed, which earns Baby a mandatory life sentence for felony murder with a chance of parole only after 25 years. And this is felony murder. It doesn't matter if Baby didn't pull the trigger himself. It doesn't matter if he didn't intend for anyone to die. Just the fact that he was involved is enough to give him a life sentence. That's how this horrible fucking law works. If you don't like it, vote for the other party that also supports all the same shit. Yeah, and guess what? Even if a security guard didn't get killed here, even if nobody got killed, guess what? Baby would still get a mandatory life without parole sentence because he already committed armed robbery before and a separate offense, and under Georgia's 2 strikes provision of their 7 deadly sins law, if you commit one of these 7 sins, and armed robbery is one of them, twice, you get an automatic life without parole sentence. Now you understand why Georgia is the state with America's 8th highest incarceration rate. Anyhow, Baby refuses to drive away, and another crew member gets really pissed at him, so Baby floors the car and kills the guy who was threatening him with a conveniently placed rebar pole. That means he gets another life without parole sentence. So him and the other 2 crew members, who I'll call Buddy and the bitch, get separated from each other. He runs through a mall, and he tries to disguise himself by shoplifting some clothes. It doesn't really work. And honestly, shoplifting is such a minor crime, there's no reason to even concern ourselves with it. He does steal a car later to try to get away from the parking lot, and that would add 1 to 10 years to his sentence, but he's already got 3 life sentences at this point, so what does it matter? He runs into Buddy and the bitch again, and another shootout ensues, and the bitch gets killed. Yeah, the police gun her down, and that means Baby gets another felony murder conviction. Yeah, it doesn't matter even if the cops kill your accomplice. You are held responsible for what they do. That's what passes for justice in the United States, so Baby gets another life sentence, mandatory, without parole. After seeing his woman get killed, Buddy gets really pissed and he shoots 2 cops. It's unclear whether they die or not. I'm going to assume that they survive, otherwise Baby is going to get another 2 felony murder convictions, which he really doesn't need. But in the chaos of the shooting, Baby gets away, and he's not content with just having 4 life sentences. He earns himself another one by carjacking a woman. That's right, under Georgia's 2 strikes law, if you commit 2 separate carjackings, you get a mandatory life without parole sentence. And the fact that he throws her purse back at her and says, "I'm sorry," doesn't do anything to change that. So now this movie just becomes a stupid revenge flick. Buddy wants to kill Baby because he blames Baby for his woman's death. Now, why not blame the cops that shot her? Yeah, anyways, Baby gets the better of Buddy in a diner and shoots him in the shoulder. If he just shot him in the head, the movie would be over. But then we couldn't have an epic ending sequence, so gotta do something stupid. Baby commits another carjacking of these two potheads, and we'll just say that he gets away with it, even though he probably wouldn't in real life. Like, what does it matter? What's the difference between 5 life sentences and 6? So they take the pothead's car to Kevin Spacey's garage. Kevin Spacey kills 3 more corrupt cops before getting run over by Buddy. And then there's an epic final fight confrontation scene in the parking garage, which makes no sense. Buddy literally has a gun to Baby's head at one point. All he has to do is pull the trigger, but instead he makes a speech like a stupid movie villain, blows out his eardrums, and gives Baby's fuck interest a chance to attack him, and they kill him, and he lands onto a flaming car, and the car blows up for no reason. You know how movies work. Baby and his fuck buddy get away for a little bit, but they don't get far. They get stopped at a roadblock. Baby surrenders to the police, and I'm surprised they don't beat the shit out of him considering how many cops and security guards got wounded/killed over the course of this movie. We see Baby in jail and some clips from his trial showing defense witnesses explaining that Baby was just a good kid that made some mistakes and he's good at heart and blah blah blah. Do you really think any hard-ass judge from Georgia is going to give a shit about any of this? Why doesn't the movie show some victim impact statements? Maybe from Soldier Boy. Maybe he could roll out there in a wheelchair and talk about how he's crippled for life thanks to Baby. Or the widow of the security guard that got killed could maybe talk about how horrible it is that she'll never get to grow old with her husband because he was gunned down in the line of duty thanks to Baby. All of the family members and the prosecutor would be asking for the harshest sentence possible. They would be calling for the death penalty. At the end of the day, even if the judge wanted to show leniency, which he sure as fuck wouldn't, it wouldn't matter. He would have no choice but to give Baby multiple life sentences, not 25 years in prison with a chance at parole in 5 years. That's not fucking happening. That's a pipe dream. There's no way he'd be able to get out of prison in 5 years and go on a road trip with Deborah. Nope. In real life, Baby would be tortured in prison for at least 45 to 50 years until he died of natural causes. He would never, ever, ever get out. And honestly, even though Georgia has never executed anyone for felony murder before, the sheer number of dead and injured cops in this movie makes this a novel situation. I honestly think there's a pretty good chance that he would end up being sentenced to receive a shot of pancuronium bromide in 15 or 20 years, however long it takes for an execution date to be set. Nowadays, you end up waiting a long time to be executed in America. That's my final verdict. As far as I'm concerned, this movie gets an F for realism and enjoyment as well. I didn't like this movie that much. Hopefully next time I find something better to review. If you have any suggestions or think I got something wrong, leave a comment. But for now, toodles!